One way or another, I'm gonna find you.
TikTok time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here. And the destroyer of all orthobros.
You really had to throw that in.
You know they're gonna show up and not for our topic. They're gonna show up and try to derail our live stream for some reason. It's what your buddies do, man. It's what your buddies do.
That's what they do. Urinating upon one another.
Hey, check this out. H. Sargisian says, love you guys. Your Armenian brother in Christ. What do Armenians believe?
It's
Is there like Armenian?
Sargisyan.
Is there like Armenian Orthodox or something?
Armenians are mostly Oriental Orthodox, together with the
Ah,
Coptics and the others.
so he would be in favor of me completely wrecking the Orthobros.
They're generally cool with the Eastern Orthodox. They just have some differences here and there.
Not for long. Not for long. No one's gonna be cool with them.
Why are you trying to sow division between the Orthodox?
Why? What? Those orthobros actually crack me up because how like psychologically fragile. Keep in mind, guys, I'm not talking about regular Eastern Orthodox people who seem pretty darn cool. Present company excluded. But the just like this online little group, the Orthobros, it's funny. They're like, yeah, come on, faith, do it. Not interested. No, do it. Come on, coward, coward. And they use much more graphic language. Yeah, you little pig, you little pig. Yeah, what? What you gonna do? And you finally go, okay, let's debate. And they go, will the persecution of Orthobros never end? Why are you sowing seeds of division, you hypocrite? Anyway, so these guys crack me up. Anyway,
Pretty messed up.
pretty weird. Do you see? That's Muhammad Al Zut. Yes, we see. Yeah, guys. So yesterday, how you doing, AP?
I'm all right. How you do?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. So yesterday we watched the first section of IP's four-on-one
I
debate. Was IP two? We all pee. IPUP. We all pee.
We should all pee. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That was a super important contribution to the value of this live stream. Now I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, we started watching. We started watching. We started watching the debate yesterday, and this was IP. It was supposed to be 5-on-1, which would have technically been 4-on-1 because there were two Muslimas, and they have half of the brain of a man, according to Muhammad. And so, even if all five showed up, it would have been technically 4-on-1. But I think it was Cora. He said Cora, right? Was Cora was supposed to be on that, and then she
Yeah.
didn't show up. Okay, she found out IP and God
IP.
Logic were there, and so she hid. So it ended up being 3.5, 3.5 on one versus IP, and the topic was like Christianity or Islam, what's better for the world, or what makes the best countries or societies, or something like that. And we watched the first section, which he jumped right into child marriage in Islam. And the comment section was amazing. There are still just tons and tons of people who don't know how much this is defended in Islam, and they're shocked. They're shocked. Wait, these four Muslim debaters all start defending child marriage on the drop of a dime? What? It's like people have heard that Muhammad did this, but they don't know that people still like defend the idea, these ideas today. That no, a 9-year-old is a fully grown adult and stuff like that. They don't know that people still defend this, and that you would say a 5-year-old is a grown woman. And so people don't know this, and they're still shocked. So guys, this is why you keep doing it. This is why you keep debating. There's still tons of people in the world who do not know what Islam has done to people's minds. And so anyway, we went through the child marriage section of the debate. Then I kind of scrolled through because I thought The wife beating was going to come up next, but I looked and they were talking about killing apostates in there. So anyway, I skipped forward just to find what looked like the beginning of the section on wife beating, and it kind of tied in with the cousin marriage thing. So we're just gonna start where it looks like that whole thing started, and we'll see where it goes from there. We all good, man?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take these other couple super chats real quick, and then we'll jump into the video on wife beating. Wife beating, always a hot topic. UFC 250 versus Al Zut 30. Been watching Following Jay for a while. I asked what's wrong with educating yourself before debating. Not even to Jay. Jay has blocked me, lol. That is confusing, guys. And that idea, when I said, one, I'm not interested, they say, you got to debate. And I say, okay, let me prepare a little bit. And they say, no, debate now before you prepare. Preparing's for weaklings. So I'm like, you seriously want me to go in and start criticizing and have no clue what I'm talking about? Yes, that's exactly what we want. Okay, I don't trust you guys. AP, how's the desk?
How about you come debate? How about come debate? Join Twitter Spaces and debate.
Yeah, come on and come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. AP, how's the desk feeling? It's like halfway through your leg, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Miss Cigar. I have moderator status here on David's channel, so I can just ban you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of that?
Yeah, it's weird that he's sitting here mocking your pain. Can you imagine someone gets like in a horrible accident, loses an arm, and then someone's like, "Hey, how's that tree chipper feeling after it chopped your arm off?" Lol.
Pretty messed up,
Oh, man.
Very, very messed up. Absolutely messed up.
These cigars go hard, man. These cigars, man. Don't mess with these cigars. You saw Breaking Bad. You know the Salamancas? The Salamancas were terrified of one group only.
That's true.
The cigaras. Hey, David, I saw your video on the Ortho Pros. I'm an Eastern Ortho Christian, and I highly respect what you guys do on not bringing in any denominations. The focus should just be on Jesus, period. Thank you. I agree completely, but not everyone, the Ortho Bros disagree. You have to have this big argument before you do anything else. So, tried to stay out of it for a long time, but they insist. So, we're just going to have it out. David, can you be consistent and comment on JP for teaming with Jake for a live stream against a fellow Christian? The same thing you condemned Jay for. Well, I don't know. What did he say? What did JP say?
No, I think didn't JP and Mahler invite Jake, Muslim metaphysician, on to go against the Ortho Bros or something like that? Something like that happened, and the Ortho Bros are like, wait a minute. So they called out Jay for agreeing with a Muslim, and now they themselves are inviting Muslims to attack fellow Christians.
If he actually did the same thing that Jay did, yeah, I'd have a problem with that. Now, what Jay did, keep in mind, it's not like if God Logic went out and like murdered someone, and one of the Dawa bros said, "Hey, that's murder, that's messed up," and Jay said, "Yeah, that is messed up." That would not be the issue. It's, hey, he's a God Logic's a grifter because he isn't debating the one true church and he doesn't focus on those issues. Therefore, he's a grifter. Okay, that's something else. That's a Muslim tossing out a really stupid claim, and the Orthobros jumping in there and saying, "That's right, that's right," and then them running around with the same stupid accusation. So if it's something like that, where someone just tossed out if Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, tossed out some completely ridiculous and insane accusation against Jay Dyer to discredit his arguments against whatever he's arguing against, and these guys are like, "That's right," and yeah, I'd have a problem with it. But I have no clue what the situation is.
So as far as I can see it right now, JP invited or had Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, on to together go against the Orthobros or something like that. If that's what it looks like, if that's the case, then JP uncut his door and shouldn't be doing that kind of
JP, stuff. What's going on? That sounds lame. I'll have to see what
That's
actually the situation is because
that's pretty messed up.
let me put it like this: the when the orthobros say, "Oh my goodness, this person did this, hypocrite," like 99% of the time, it's completely different from what they say. I don't trust them at all. You, apostolic apprentice, I don't know anything about you, but yeah, got weird stuff going on there. But anyway, yes, we will see it. And if he's doing the same thing Jay Dyer did, then by golly, I will crush JP. And Mahler will get mauled by me. We'll see what happens, guys. When the Shia Muslim tried to argue that if, hey, finally we're on topic here. When the Shia Muslim tried to argue that if Islam doesn't account for 100% of the data, it actually accounts for 0% of the data. My data analysis brain shot it. She actually argued that, wait, if Islam doesn't account for 100% of the data, it accounts for 0% of the data? Did she say that?
What?
That would be that would be really, really dumb. Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, we're gonna check this out. Let's see. Would you debate Alex Soren? Not sure who that is, but I was asked that earlier today.
I think he just recently debated JP Uncut. So.
Oh, okay. No, I'm gonna debate Jay Dyer, guys. I'm gonna debate. Other than that, I'd like to actually continue studying and then debate later. But Jay's like, I'm retiring. He's like, oh, okay. Well, I need to hurry up, and so just postpone your retirement till we debate and then retire. AP versus Momo, aka apostate prophet versus prostate prophet. AP versus Momo. Oh yeah, that is a good nickname for Momo. Except AP goes by that sometimes. So, the eye is the lamp of the body. It works best with brown eyes. You can easily tell when it has turned dark. Sometimes it changes color in real time. Oh my goodness! I was like, what kind of joke is this? But it's Nordine. Nordine, come on, you need help. I blocked you like multiple times. You keep coming in under weird, keep making extra channels. Orthobros and Catholics are part of the reason I exiled myself some years ago from social media and the community. Couldn't deal with the malice. They proclaim Christ, yet do such things to a believer. To be fair, the internet can affect anyone like this. Like, remember a couple years ago, we had I mean, they may still be around. I just don't hear nearly as much as, but you had the cage, they called them the cage stage Calvinists. So those guys were like Protestants of all Protestants, and they were kind of acting similarly, like going around, running their mouths, harassing everyone, and you got to debate us on this, debate us on this.
I mean, I see it today still.
I think it's the internet that affects certain people like this, and whatever group you might be, it might kind of spur that on a bit more, or something like that. If you have certain ideas in your group that make it snowball more. But I think any group is susceptible to this on the internet.
I see it online at the moment. I mean, it's like there are several people. This is going on both in traditional Catholic circles, hyper traditionalist online orthobro circles. There are also certain Protestant people that also do this kind of stuff.
I literally just said that.
Yeah, I know, I know. There are certain women for some reason that are prominently doing this whole thing where they post every day. They post something attacking the Catholics and the Orthodox because that's all they do, all they want to do for every day. I guess that's what brings glory to God and all that. So all three of those, all three kinds and shapes and forms of those, I think it's just. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to insult them or anything. I just want to say it's such unnecessary behavior and
Yep.
such. I really do not understand what the purpose and point of it all is. I mean, if you have disagreements with each other, if you have theological disagreements, ecclesiastical disagreements, and all that, it's one thing to discuss them and to go through them, to debate them, and all that. But then you see posts like I just saw the other day. The Orthodox are not Christians. This guy is not a Christian. That guy is not a Christian because they don't believe in the Bible. I even asked, so are you saying that for 1,500 years people were not Christians? And then I kind of got the approval of that. Yeah, they weren't real Christians. So the whole notion of this of the great apostasy, of the apostasy of people in general that all fell off and weren't Christians for over 1,000 years or so. There are some crazy narratives that people passionately want to repeat every day and spread online because I guess it's fun, but I really want to ask them if they really think that is what Jesus would want them to do or wants them to do. I just don't see any goodness in it at all.
Yeah, and AP, you and me have been doing live streams for many years. I'm sure you remember me saying 4 or 5 years ago that as groups start attacking each other, um, basically as people feel like they're being attacked, the tendency is to enmesh themselves more in their group. But
Yeah.
then to demonstrate their value to the group, they have to attack other groups to show how important they are to the group. But then what happens is now, in order to demonstrate your worth and value to your group, you start attacking the other group, but that other group now feels like more like they're being attacked. And so they have to start attacking other groups as well. And so guys, this is going to keep spiraling. It's going to keep
Yeah.
spiraling. In other words, so just take the orthobros right now, right? You could have used, again, Cage Stage Calvinists from a couple of years ago, but orthobros right now are attacking in all directions. You're not real Christians. You're not real Christians. You're not real Christians. You're all fake. It's fake. You've done a fake baptism. Blah blah blah. You're not real Christians. Okay, so now they're ticking everyone off, which makes these other people from these other groups want to attack the orthobros. But then the orthobros feel like they're being more attacked, so they're going to attack even more, which is going to create more hostility. But guess what? All these other groups, once they start defending their positions more and attacking more, they're not just going after the orthobros, they're going to be going after other people as well. And so it's basically everything becomes more and more divided. I've been saying that for years, and I was saying it because it was decades. People weren't telling me I needed to join the Orthodox Church. All of a sudden, I started getting, a few a year, like a few claims per year, like 5, 6 years ago. Now, like tons of them every day. Why? Because this is what's going on right now. This is what's going on, and I'm not convinced there's anything you can do about it at this point. Like you might just have to give up on the idea of too soon to call, but it may be completely hopeless to have any sort of like, hey, let's have common ground and focus on other things and so on. We might be past that, and it might be just endless division from now on. That's what it looks like. Might be.
Ash made a good point and said, AP, it's hard to stay rational when your worldview is based on not being the other worldview. LOL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yep.
That's the problem.
After his fall, AP needed acetaminophen, but the prophet misheard and got the seed of 30 men. Did you invent that, Matt C? Because where did you see that somewhere? Because that's actually funny. Acetaminophen, the seed of 30 men.
I took acetaminophen earlier today, so that's kind of funny.
The issue doesn't seem to be agreeing. The issue doesn't seem to be agreeing with the Dawa guys. It seems to be agreeing with them on unfalsifiable accusations in order to get what they want. Yeah, guys, I was even saying when this came up, it's like, okay, if I'm talking to a Muslim, we agree on a lot of things. We agree that God exists. We agree that God sent prophets. We agree that Jesus spoke the truth. We agree on all these kinds of things. And no problem where we agree on things. But yeah, if I'm really mad at someone and they're really mad at someone, and then they say something completely ridiculous about someone and I cheer them on and agree with them, that is kind of a different situation. And with that said, there are certain Dawa guys that it wouldn't, like, even if I agree with them, I'm not going to say it just because some of them are like completely evil scumbags who like threatening to rape women and going after people's wives and stuff like that. Like, do not affirm anything they're saying. AP has forgiven me. You see, no, but seriously, you didn't answer my question. Yeah, AP.
I don't want to answer your question.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. You don't control him. When IP brings up studies on the negative effects of Islam, she argues that because there are other favors like poverty, Islam isn't a factor at all. Oh, I think you mean other factors. Okay, so I guess you're saying, because we haven't seen this, I guess you're saying that if IP says, hey, Muslim countries have these problems, then she's arguing that there are other factors that lead to those problems, such as poverty, and therefore Islam isn't a factor. Yeah, that would be stupid reasoning. But we'll see. David gets hard. What the heck, man? What's wrong with people? Timothy says, Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant, I don't care. I care if the person is truly born again in Christ. We can debate and sharpen as iron sharpens iron. Mm-hmm.
Powerful.
Jesus, the eye is the lamp of the body. Mo, the eyes are the leather strap of the anus. Harm to decide who to follow there. Yeah, I posted that a couple of times on X. DA Aussies won because AP supported us. TAAP.
That's true. Australia won the match against Turkey by
Is he
two
saying
against
is there
zero
someone called
yesterday.
DA Aussies or is he just saying the Aussies? The
The
Aussies won.
Aussies. The Aussies won because
They
AP
won what?
supported
Who'd they
us.
beat?
AP. They won against Turkey in football yesterday, last night, which was
Oh man,
very,
I should
very
have
nice.
watched that.
Which was very, very nice. I would normally never support Australians in anything, but that was the one time that I did support Australians because it was against Turkey. So although even there, I thought, I don't know, is Turkey really that bad that I want to support Australia in something? I wasn't sure, but eventually I decided, okay, I do support Australia this
Hmm.
one time. So, and they won. You're
Um,
welcome.
I wonder if soccer, because
Football.
I've always hated baseball just because when it would come up on TV, it would seem so boring. But I actually went to a baseball game. Took my kids there just because I was like, okay, we've lived in the Bronx all these years, and Yankee Stadium is right over there, and we never go to a game. So we finally went to a game, but it was actually super cool going to a game, like way more than. I mean, it helped that they hit like 8 home runs that day, but it was way cooler than I thought. I thought I was going to be bored out of my mind, but you're there and stuff like that, and people are screaming and cheering. And anyway, it was cooler. I was wondering if his soccer's like not as horribly boring if you actually go to a game, but I can't imagine a scenario where
Dude,
I'm actually going to go to a game.
easy
What?
solution for the first time since when I don't know. This was 30 years in planning. The World Cup is taking place right here in your country. In fact, some of the matches are being played in very close
Wait,
proximity.
this is the World Cup, and it's in the
Yes,
U.S.
yes, this is the World Cup and it's
Huh.
being hosted by the United States of America. So we could literally buy tickets and go and watch if there are still.
Wait,
It
so all
might be
those
very.
dumb teams from like all over the world are coming here?
Yeah, I mean
How they even afford that, man?
it is hosted
How
between
all those
America,
poor how all these
Mexico,
poor
and
countries like Turkey and stuff afford to even send a team anywhere?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's why they lost.
Could literally go and watch a match.
They
Although
couldn't
it
afford
might be a
any.
little.
They couldn't afford any food after they got their their boat tickets.
Dude, they are food. They are food. It's turkey.
JP Uncut isn't just attacking Orthobros. He's also making content attacking Ash, who is Catholic. Also, shout out to Ash. Hey, keep in mind, guys. Keep in mind, I don't have any problem with Catholics debating Orthodox or Catholics debating Protestants or Protestants debating Catholics and Orthodox and stuff like that. And people saying, nope, you guys are actually wrong. Zero problem with that. My problem is when people say, guys, I'm interested in something else. And you say, no, you have to be going after this. That's, no, I think it's totally fine for people to argue denominational differences and stuff. Just don't try to make it like the main thing that everyone has to be fighting over. And don't say, you have to do that before you do this other stuff. You're not allowed to do this other stuff unless you do this. It's like, no, people who are interested in that, you guys have at it. And if you ever come up with some decisive solution and solve all the issues and say, this is hands down the true church, let me know. Let me know. I'll be on board. I'll be on board.
Well, so I didn't have a problem with JP, although the disagreements on that day. I think he was kind of rhetorically and everything weak when he had his disagreements with Ash and others. But I did find it kind of messed up. He was having a fight with the Orthobros online, and then JP Uncircumcised actually did say he insulted them and called them heretic Mary worshippers or something like that. So I said, "Wait, is this what you call the Orthodox now?" And he said to me, "No, it's just about the Orthobros and all that." But then it makes you wonder, why exactly would you call the Orthobros heretic Mary worshippers? And it's just for the Orthobros. What makes them different from me in that straw man regard? So I don't know. It's kind of a wild thing, and he seems to go into the very same direction that he accused the Orthobros of going, where he starts just attacking and brutally strawmanning and calling people heretics or disbelievers based on his misunderstanding of what they think and
I'm saying if
believe.
the shoe fits,
What's wrong with you?
let's see. D Wood, can you take an hour next week to look at Ireland? Last time you said you never even look. Wait, was that when someone said we should visit Ireland? No, that would definitely not happen next week. I am totally swamped for the next couple of months. Yeah, there was something a while back, like a year or two ago, where someone was saying, "Hey, come visit Ireland." I was like, "Oh yeah, we should take a trip." Is that what you're talking about? David, where did you get that Sam Fart compilation video? I was dying when you showed that on AP's stream. I didn't have that. That was who had that?
That was Jai.
Oh, Jai had that. Yeah, Jai had that. Someone made it, and someone made that and sent it to Jai. So Jai has that, guys. But yeah, I can definitely get that. Socceroos are now the true Ottermen. Yet you'd think that Turkey would win because they're half otters, so that always helps. Aussies avenge their Gallipoli loss.
Yeah, this is a reference to the war, the First World War.
Americans showed up to the Australia-Turkey game and wondered where the Thanksgiving dinner was. They said there was turkey here. So D-Wood thinks attacking Ash is a... No. What did I say? So D-Wood thinks attacking Ash is a good thing and everyone should do it. Well, AP, I'm sorry for attacking you like your desk. I forgot D-Wood is a psychopath.
I know.
Yeah, guys. So on that issue of... Again, interdenominational debates and discussions, totally fine if that's what people are interested in. I mean, it helps because guess what? If there's a serious issue to the point where someone's right and someone's wrong, I don't know. It seems totally fine to deal with that. And I don't have a problem with match as long as they're not like crossing like massive lines, like threatening and stuff like that. But kind of adapting rhetoric, like being more aggressive with more aggressive people or nicer with nicer people and stuff like that. No problem there. Just, hey, guys, when someone says I'm not interested, I got other stuff to do, let them freaking do the other stuff that they want to do, man. I know I'm going to get banned, but D-Wood telling that story was like Hatoon laughing at the fraud. Oh, yeah. AP, you have no idea how funny it was, man. I found out.
Dude, I know. I know. I saw it.
Yeah, but I don't know if you watched you didn't watch the live stream. Hatoon, it was like the funniest thing in the world to her. Somalis stealing millions of dollars from dumb people who let them get away with it. She thought that was the funniest thing she'd ever seen in her entire life. We got football is greater than soccer, is greater than goats, is greater than the Kaaba. I actually agree. With that. As much as soccer sucks, no, I like goats better than not the way Muhammad's followers like goats, but
you like goats.
I like goats more than soccer. They're pretty cool, especially those ones that like climb the cliffs and stuff like that. And you're like, is that AI? How can that thing be on the side of the cliff? But they're actually on the side of the cliff, man. Pretty crazy.
David said I like goats.
JP called Sig a son of Satan. Seriously, man. Hey, that is messed up. Sig's super cool, man. Sig's super cool. He's one of the guys who turned things around at Speaker's Corner. JP, we're gonna have to go to war, man. Let's see. All right, ready to jump into this debate, man?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, no more running. All right, here we go, guys. Hey, all you orthobros showing up, go line somewhere else. We're trying to focus on something here. No, you can't focus on women in Islam or which makes better countries, Christianity or Islam, until you debate us on the true church. Already tossed out the invitation. Hey, did Jay say when we debate? Because I said in my video he could just toss out some dates and times, and I picked the one that worked best. Did he say anything? Because I'm blocked. I mean, I could go look it up, but I just haven't looked it up. I'll figure it out later. All right, guys, here we have. This is where the discussion on wife beating comes up, I think. Let's see.
We want to take this a bit forward, right? Because we also want to be able to critique your conception of what a good society is. Now, when it comes to Christianity or Western Christianity, you would admit that, for example, things like alcohol consumption is allowed. Now, when it comes to alcohol consumption, we see that, for example, 66% of domestic abuse cases are heavily impacted and influenced by alcohol consumption. So the question to you is very simple. If we have a society A, where there is no alcohol consumption, right, and it's completely forbidden, not allowed, and we have society B where it is allowed, which one would yield a better result insofar as domestic abuse, so on and so forth?
So you're saying, let me see if I can steal it. You're saying
Islam would give worse results because Islam already allows domestic violence.
Did I hear that correctly? He's saying, "Hey,
This is his example.
lots of domestic abuse is connected to alcohol. In other words, guy gets drunk and then beats the crap out of his wife or something like this, and therefore, a society that allows alcohol consumption would be worse than a society that doesn't allow alcohol consumption because it will reduce the society that doesn't allow alcohol consumption will theoretically reduce the amount of spousal abuse. And I assume the response would be, well, guess what? Tons of Muslim countries don't allow alcohol consumption, and yet the rates of spousal abuse are super high in those countries compared to
Yes.
other countries. So,
Plus, why would he even take that as something bad? I mean, what's bad with what bad about domestic violence according to Islam?
yeah, I know. Why bring that up? He's like, hey, did you know that lots of child marriage is connected to getting drunk? Isn't that a problem? It's like, aren't you the guys who are defending that stuff? It's like, why do you think spousal abuse is bad when your prophet and your God allowed it? Anyway, let's see.
Quran chapter 4 verse 34 that women must be obedient to their husbands, and from those from whom you fear arrogance, admonish them, then separate them, and then beat them. That's what the Quran says. It directly tells men to beat their wives. That's Islam. That's your religion.
If a society is producing less domestic abuse, it's better.
Of course.
Okay, beautiful. There's a great
I
study.
just
He
point
just
out-
granted what? He just granted if a society promotes less domestic abuse, it's better. The guy just agreed to that. Oh, I think let me just see if that's what he said, because IP is gonna wreck him now. Let's see.
Better result insofar as domestic abuse, so on and so forth.
So you're saying, let me see if I can still. You're saying if a society is producing less domestic abuse, it's better.
Of course.
Okay, beautiful. There's a great study.
I just point out alcohol consumption though.
Okay, there's a great study called Intimate Partner Violence in Muslim Communities, showing that yes, there is more intimate partner violence in Muslim communities. So even with alcohol, you guys are still having more abuse of women, psychological, physical,
There's a question.
sexual, emotional abuse in your societies. So
Right.
even on that point,
So-
this works against you.
So no, again, the example, the question that I asked was specific regarding which society would be better, one that doesn't have alcohol consumption and one that does.
Yeah, but what's your point? Your point was if not consuming alcohol or banning alcohol leads to less spousal abuse, then that would be better. And then he asked you, are you saying that if something leads to less spousal abuse, it's better? He said yes. Okay, Islam leads to the highest rates of spousal abuse in the world. So what? And then he's no, just talking about alcohol consumption. It's like, wait, what? We're talking about Islam here. Oh boy, let's see.
Depends on how much abuse it causes.
Okay, beautiful.
It's about the effects.
So, no, if one causes high domestic abuse due to the alcohol, it would be worse, right?
Wait. So if it causes more,
Right.
okay, yeah, it doesn't.
No. Again, to be very clear, what I'm saying is that if we have a society where there is alcohol consumption that would lead to domestic abuse, and we have a society that doesn't have alcohol consumption that doesn't lead to domestic abuse, which one would be better?
The one that has less abuse.
Thank you so much.
Okay, which is the West.
So again, Islam as a religion doesn't allow alcohol consumption, which doesn't contribute to the mass domestic abuse.
Yeah,
that
but
is
it
due to
allows wife
alcoholism.
abuse. But it allows wife abuse, you absolute dummy. This is like saying, well, if there's alcohol consumption, then there are higher rates of killing people, or let's say higher rates. Let's say hypothetically, right? If there's alcohol consumption, it leads to higher rates of child marriage. Let's say that was the argument, right? So he's saying, well, if there's less alcohol consumption, then there will be less child marriage. Okay, what exactly is the problem? Your religion already leads to higher rates of child marriage, with or without the alcohol. So what exactly is your point about the alcohol here? You already have a problem when it comes to the child marriage issue. Similarly, you already have a massive problem when it comes to domestic abuse issue. Whether the alcohol increases the rates or decreases the rates, I mean, could be an important thing, but should be entirely besides the point when it comes to domestic abuse, because your religion already leads to more domestic abuse, which means that your religion seemingly makes for worse societies by your own standard, because by your own standard, domestic violence makes for worse societies. Islam. Gosh.
That's such a weird thing that the dude rolled with that. Hey, if something leads to more spousal abuse, more domestic violence, it's bad. Okay, that's what Islam does. No, I just mean alcohol consumption, dude. Oh, this is weird stuff, man.
He wants to give one example and is just shooting himself in the foot. It's funny.
That is found within the West.
It's causing more abuse regardless. This is
Thank
what
you.
the research
Wait,
shows.
a society without alcohol
hold on,
better,
no. I let you talk for a little while there. Your
Sure.
whole thing was like, we're going to go on, the society that's better is the one that is causing less abuse. The research shows, multiple reviews have found that it is actually Muslim communities producing more abuse of
What's
their
the sample
women.
size?
What's the sample size? It's been done in I can pull it up right here if you want. I can pull it up.
He said, what's the sample size? I'm not like IP in that I have all the studies ready, but back when I was debating this stuff, it was like study after study after study that like ranked the worst countries in the world for women in terms of things like spousal abuse, age of first marriage. That basically the younger the younger the kind of worse for women because they start marrying them off young and stuff like that. Job opportunities for women, education opportunities for women, and so on. It was like 11 of the 12 worst places in the world for women were Muslim majority countries. Another one, it was 18 out of 20 of the worst countries in the world for women in all these different categories were Muslim majority countries. So if this guy's like, oh, what's the sample size? Tons of studies have verified this, but I think he's going with just the domestic abuse one. Let's see.
Because yeah, go ahead. Put it up. Yeah.
So I told you the name of the paper, Intimate Partner Violence in Muslim Communities.
What's the time and the location as well?
So they looked at multiple countries. So that's important. So they were not just looking at one; they looked at several over several years, for example.
Right.
So this was several studies here. So hold on, let me pull this up here. The first one is intimate partner violence in Muslim communities. Okay. The study. There's like multiple studies authors. So like Bonita Sharma, for example.
Right,
Sharma, Kenneth Flaglin. The second paper.
Do you know the second
paper is. Second paper is Muslim women experience of domestic violence and abuse, a meta-ethnography of global evidence. And they specifically cite religious motivations coming from Islam.
What is the religious?
causing
Go
this.
ahead, prove it.
What are you talking about? You want me to read it?
When you cite religious motivations, what is the religious motivation they're quoting?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, here. So, cultural beliefs often influence Islamic values within a society.
Cultural?
What?
Okay. I've always said religious.
Let me read.
Religion's part of the culture, genius.
Dummy. Oh my God.
Yeah, what is this? It says culture. Islamic culture. Islamic culture has something to do with Islam, hence Islamic culture.
Read from the paper? Okay, I'm reading from the Muslim women experience of domestic violence and abuse, a meta-ethnography. Okay? Cultural belief often influence Islamic values within a society. These religious values and beliefs were subject to the interpretation and guidance of religious leaders. Sharia law plays a role in shaping the behavior of many individuals within a community.
Can you give the evidence within Sharia law?
My goodness, he asked me to read a quote.
I'm asking something very specific here. What is
Sharia law
what is the evidence?
Sharia law dictated that women must be obedient to their husbands. Men felt empowered to punish their wives if they perceived them as disobedient. Then it goes on to say it is evident that religious beliefs were a strong influence on women's acceptance of DVA and reluctant to leave and seek help.
Beautiful.
Dang, did you catch that? It also said that religion wasn't just a factor in men beating their wives because it's saying that women have to be obedient. If the guy calls you to bed and stuff, you just have to jump up and do whatever he says. And so it wasn't just religion being a factor in the men thinking it's okay to beat their wives. It also plays a role in women not seeking help or complaining about it because they think it's normal. They think it's acceptable. That's some creepy stuff right there, man. Gosh, and this dude literally asked for it. Show us a study. Okay, right here. Boom.
So again, regarding a specific topic, now let's quote the Sharia. The messenger himself in authentic hadith says those...
Wait, do you acknowledge this shows this?
Yeah, I'm responding to it.
So you acknowledge this shows there's more violence,
I know
communities.
that's what she says. I'm responding to the
That's not what
paper.
he even said. He said that the effect of them not wanting to leave is due to religious.
It's evident that religious was a strong influence on women's acceptance of DVA.
Right,
So-
but it's not them actually committing the act. It's just the
Acceptance, women accepting the domestic violence as a normal part of life.
The prior quote shows that
but
yes,
them
they
actually
are.
committing the act was due to culture.
I need to read the other one
Yeah,
too?
it
Because
says,
it was
says
culture.
culture in the
So-
first sentence.
Yeah, so I don't know what you're doing. You're just
And-
misquoting
and
these.
even
No,
if-
no, it
Crazy.
shows that there's more violence in there, and the women are also
Can
accepting
you just
it.
read the first sentence again?
Yeah,
real quick?
because of culture.
Yeah, culture beliefs often influence Islamic values
Exactly.
in
So,
society.
Wow,
okay,
man.
so
Yeah.
this goes back.
I'm not saying it's just
hold on,
Islamic.
hold on.
That's a
I know.
part of it, but
Okay.
they do say religious as well.
Okay, so if it's
You hear that, everyone? Islam is not part of Islamic cultures. It's just not. It plays no role in Islamic cultures. So, I mean, IP's being as generous as he can be right here. He's saying, I'm not saying it's the only factor. There can be other factors, but Islam is listed as a major factor in this. In other words, when they're investigating, hey, why do you think it's okay to beat the crap out of women? Look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said.
not
the
a
culture.
sufficient cause, then you can't attribute the actual cause to Islam.
Yes, I
It has
can.
No, you can't. It's not
Yes.
a sufficient cause.
Yeah,
Okay,
because you
so
don't
does
understand
it
how sociology
happen in-
works.
So this is
Hold on, you don't understand how sociology works.
Hold on. You're
Multiple
you don't
factors.
understand how
There's
Mill's method of
cultural,
What?
Where did she study this? So she's talking such nonsense. That's literally how it works. And she's trying to argue this with IP here. Seriously, man, she's trying to argue research and statistics with IP here.
And based on what she just said, she has no clue what a sufficient cause is. She doesn't know what she's talking about right here.
You know, I felt really terrible, and I was like, do I really have to do this? When I had to take a course on statistics and all that. But now I really appreciate it, and it's very, very, very clear to see when somebody spots complete nonsense like this.
It's pretty rough. Let me back that up because that was one of the. If she's saying what I think she's saying, this is insanely stupid.
Yeah, culture beliefs often influence Islamic values in
Exactly.
society.
And yeah, you said she's arguing this with IP. It's like lots of the Dawagandists, they learn some philosophical terminology, not because they want to learn, correct reasoning principles and stuff like that, but just to sound smart when they're arguing. But the people they're arguing with don't know how to correctly use these terms, and so they just get away with it. You don't go using extremely sloppy use of terms against IP. It's not going to go well. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Wow,
Okay,
man.
so this goes back.
I'm not saying it's just
hold on,
Islamic.
hold on. I
That's
know,
a
I know.
part of it, but
Okay.
they do say religious as well.
Okay, so
it's
if
gotta
it's
do
not
with
a
culture.
sufficient cause, then you can't attribute the actual cause to Islam.
Yes, I can.
That was the dumbest thing. If it's not.
Where did she
And
even
you
get
can't
this from?
attribute it to Islam. He said, yes, I can. Okay. Hang on. That was really, really dumb. So this is
You have
Itachi.
multiple factors. You have multiple factors, right?
Yeah.
And this is not how it works, man.
Yeah.
There would be no point in even putting the statistic or the data out there if that's how it worked.
This is weird. Let's
Can you
Accepting
just
it.
read the first sentence again?
Yeah,
real quick?
because of culture.
Yeah, culture beliefs often influence Islamic values
Exactly.
in
So,
society.
Wow,
okay,
man.
so this goes back.
I'm not saying it's just
hold on,
Islamic.
hold on. I know,
That's a
I know.
part of it, but
Okay.
they do say religious as well.
Okay, so
it's
if
gotta
it's
do
not
with
a
culture.
sufficient cause, then you can't attribute the actual cause to Islam.
Yes, I
It has
can.
to- No, you can't. It's not
Yes.
a sufficient cause.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
because you
so
don't
does
understand
it
how
happen
sociology
in-
works.
So this is
Hold on, you don't understand how
She doesn't know what a sufficient cause is. Guys, sufficient cause is like if you have this, that's enough to produce this.
sociology works.
Hold on. You
multiple
don't
factors.
understand
There's
how Mill's
cultural,
method of differences
religious.
works.
There's poverty as well. But
Right.
Islam is also one of the factors according
Right,
to the
okay,
study.
but it is not a sufficient cause. That's the point. If it was a sufficient cause, then Islam would be the only and key factor of it.
That's not true.
What did she just
That's not
say?
true.
If it were a sufficient cause, Islam would be the only.
It's even in the name, sufficient. It's not soul. It's sufficient. If it's sufficient, then it means it by itself is what is it? Guaranteed or certain or almost certain to produce a certain to lead to a certain thing. It doesn't mean it must be therefore the only thing. That's not what it is.
Yeah, so she's confusing necessary and sufficient causation, but she's getting neither one correct. Oh my goodness, is this what they do over on TikTok, man? They just toss around terms like this. So guys, what she just said, and this is insanely stupid. She said, does it list Islam as the sufficient cause? A sufficient cause would be if you have this, then you have this. that's not required for saying that something is a factor. So suppose, I don't know what the studies show on this, but suppose poverty has a strong correlation with people stealing more. It seems like there could be some sort of correlation. That doesn't mean you have to say poverty is a sufficient cause and the only cause of stealing. You don't have to say that. You just, like, if it showed, hey, the poorer people get, the more people steal, necessary and sufficient causation does not enter into that kind of discussion. It's, you can have correlation without causation. So you can just say something is a coincidence. But if study after study after study around the world showed that the poorer a society is, the more stealing there is, and so on, you start saying, okay, these things are connected. It looks like this is an important factor in producing. It doesn't mean that's the only thing that could ever cause stealing, or that if you have this, then everyone steals. No, a law in the Quran saying men can beat the crap out of their rebellious wives does not mean if you have Islam, this man is going to beat the crap out of his wife. That man may be the nicest guy in the world, may never lay a hand on his wife. That's not the point. It's for those who want to. Islam justifies it, and Islam encourages it in certain situations. So, yeah, Tachi here is dumb.
That's
what a sufficient cause is.
No, that
Okay,
does
so
not make
is
sense at all.
So is Islam a sufficient cause?
Islam is a factor that leads to more
I didn't
violence.
ask that. I asked you, is it a sufficient cause?
No, Islam is not a sufficient cause of a man beating his wife. It's not a necessary. It's not a necessary cause. You don't have to have Islam. Any dude from any background could end up beating his wife. That's not the point. Islam encourages it. Therefore, Islam leads to higher rates of it than other cultures which discourage wife beating. So you're not this has nothing to do with necessary and sufficient. Oh my goodness, she's dumb.
That is irrelevant to the study.
She's completely misrepresenting what a sufficient cause is. She's then
I don't think she doesn't know. She doesn't know because she would get away with this on TikTok, but
she gives a completely wrong definition of what it is, and then wants to ask IP of whether it is that or not. It just shows how certain ignorant people like her right now, especially among the Dawa people, can just arrogantly, as I said, pontificate on these things where they want to give you the false definition of something and then want to check you on that. You don't even understand what you're talking about. How can you be taken seriously as an authority to judge on this matter? At least say I don't know this topic, okay?
And just don't use terms when you don't know how to use them correctly. Just because you get away with it on TikTok, don't do it in a debate against IP.
Islam would be the only and key factor of it.
No, that's never.
What is this? Doesn't the Bible encourage the exact same things? The Bible encourages wife beating and child marriage?
Where,
Omar? Stop embarrassing yourself.
Sufficient causes.
No, that does not make
Because Rebecca was 3 in my mind.
sense at all.
So is Islam a sufficient cause?
Islam is a factor that leads to more
I didn't
violence.
ask that. I asked you, is it a sufficient cause?
That is irrelevant to the study.
No, it is
No,
literally
it's not.
I'm asking
It absolutely is. And you sound like an idiot to anyone who knows what a sufficient cause is and has any idea how actual studies and research works. You sound like a complete moron.
Look at this. So what is a sufficient cause? Sufficient cause is a legal and logical term referring to a justifiable, adequate, and valid reason that is strong enough to support a specific action. That is even too complicated. I wish there was a simpler. So, is a good cause that is sufficient enough to bring about a certain effect. Is that what she said a sufficient cause is? No, she said something completely different. That alone must be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She confused necessary cause with sufficient cause, because necessary cause is you have to have this or you don't have that, or you're not going to have that, right? So by the way, you have sufficient cause, you have necessary cause, and then you have necessary and sufficient, right? So something can be necessary but not produce it. It means it's one of the things you absolutely have to have. It may require other things, but you have to have this or you won't get the effect. You have necessary and sufficient, which is you have to have it, but once you have it, you are guaranteed None of this has to do with anything that's being said right here. Islam encourages wife beating. Does this mean that everywhere there's Islam, a person is going to be beating his wife? No, it doesn't. It's just an important factor, which is what IP is saying. And my goodness, this is dumb.
Alhamdulillah.
Is it a sufficient cause to say that
goodness.
Islam allows for domestic
Islam
abuse
is a
to
motivating
any
factor
society?
that leads to more violence, according to these studies.
He doesn't want to
Can you
engage.
answer her question?
You don't want to engage.
The
Right.
question
Thank
is,
you.
what is the question? It's not
You hear this? You don't want to engage. You're saying something that is completely idiotic and has nothing to do with anything that's being said right here. Oh my goodness.
what I'm actually saying.
I know.
Because you're
Is
asking
Islam-
something
You're
gonna
irrelevant to my
engage,
point.
But let's just
Because I
let's-
asked it before. You didn't want to address it before either.
Ask the
Okay.
question, and then we'll get a clear answer.
Is
Okay.
Islam a sufficient cause as it pertains to this type of violence towards women?
Okay, what do you mean by sufficient cause?
Sufficient cause meaning that it's the only thing which is necessary such that
No.
we would observe it to occur.
That's not a She's asking. Oh my goodness, guys! It's like if I say if a slub blah 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 blah. It's like, what are you talking about? You're not making any sense here. And then they're saying, oh, you're not engaging with her. She's spouting complete nonsense, defining terms completely inaccurately, and the terms she's trying to use have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with anything IP said. Backed it up a little.
Thank you.
What is the question? It's not following what I'm actually saying.
I know.
Because you're
Is
asking
Islam-
something
You're
gonna
irrelevant to
engage,
my
yeah.
point.
But let's just
Because I
let's-
asked it before. You didn't want to address it before either.
Ask the
Okay.
question, and then we'll get a clear answer.
Is
Okay.
Islam a sufficient cause as it pertains to this type of violence towards women?
Okay, what do you mean by sufficient cause?
Sufficient cause meaning that it's the only thing which is necessary such that
No.
we would observe it to occur in every single Islamic society.
It's
Is it,
irrelevant.
please?
No, that's
I didn't
irrelevant to my
ask if
point.
it's irrelevant.
no.
I asked
He
you
said
if-
no.
Oh,
I said no.
Okay, good.
See how I answered
Okay,
questions?
good.
See
Yeah,
how it
you
works?
finally answered the question.
So, no, it is irrelevant.
Good.
Okay.
So, no, it's not no, it's irrelevant. Is it a yes or no? Okay.
It is not because you don't understand how
I
sociology
didn't ask him
works.
if it's irrelevant.
Let
I
me
asked
explain
him,
how sociology
is it the
works.
case that it is or isn't?
Let
Now
me
you-
explain
now
how
you can see
sociology
he's not
works.
answering the question.
Let me explain how
Pulling a
sociology
God logic
works.
right now. She wants a yes or no.
Okay, let me explain how sociology works.
I don't need an explanation.
want a
of
God logic,
sociology.
yes or no?
I
Yeah, we're
minored-
God logic.
I
We're
minored
gonna call
in-
we're gonna
want
call
the
it
God
God
logic.
logic like yes or no.
Okay, okay.
I've minored in criminology. I've minored in
So that
sociology. I want
wait,
you to engage.
you minored in sociology.
Yes.
So that you
She
Okay,
did?
guys. Yeah,
Essentially.
yeah, that's Bri put it up on here. She said she minored in sociology. Yeah, should have spent a little more time actually paying attention to things. Okay, guys, let me just give another example. Okay, so the 4 Muslims on this panel and lots of dawah guys and gals around the world defend child marriage. Okay. So you'd notice that correlation. Why do so many Dawagandists defend child marriage? Not all, but a ton of them. And you'd say, why is that? Oh, it's because their prophet, who's the pattern of conduct according to the Quran, married a child. Hence, the teachings of Islam and the example of Muhammad really seem to play a role in influencing what these guys are promoting and defending, right? If that was pointed out and someone said, so is Islam a sufficient cause for child marriage? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That if you have Islam in, let's say, a house, therefore you're getting child marriage? No, that's not how it works. And what she wants to conclude is, therefore, Islam has nothing to do with people promoting child marriage. It has a ton to do with people promoting child marriage. It has a lot to do with people promoting child marriage. But so notice, it's not a sufficient cause of a person promoting child marriage, nor is it a necessary cause of someone promoting child marriage, because a non-Muslim could promote child marriage. The point is, necessary and sufficient causation have nothing to freaking do with what's going on here. And this is just stupid.
Wait, couldn't Islam be considered, though, in certain circumstances, a sufficient cause that leads to child marriage?
No. No. Sufficient cause would be if you have this, then you get child marriage. And so, No, you've got Muslims who don't believe in child marriage at all. So it
Yeah,
doesn't,
yeah,
just because
no,
you have
no.
Islam doesn't mean you have child marriage and stuff. There's a
true.
correlation because Islam allows it and promotes it. So
That's true. Well, if you took Islam in the most traditionalist sense, I guess. No, okay, fine, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to give it a little bit of a spin to justify her side.
yeah,
of
yeah.
what-
So that's the point. It's in these kinds of situations, you're not talking about necessary and sufficient causation. It has nothing to do with the discussion. And she's making it like the issue, and she doesn't understand sufficient causation. She doesn't understand necessary causation. She doesn't understand the difference. And she thinks those are the only relevant things on how something can play a role in something else. And that's just stupid from beginning to end. That's how it works.
Understand that when a study is performed, they have to look at multiple factors.
Exactly.
Great.
So what I'm asking you, and you don't want to engage with, is I'm asking you, is Islam sufficient on its own to produce these results, yes or no?
Never in sociology will that be the answer.
Oh my God. Okay.
Never.
So is
the
it, no,
answer
is
is
it the
no.
case, yes or no?
Perfect.
I said no.
She
Because
said
that's
no.
not
Okay,
how
good.
sociology
Okay.
works.
Good.
Do you understand? You
So
said
I'm
you
not
mattered.
asking
You
you
should know
only-
how this works. Let's go back to his point. He said the society that produces more abuse is going to have is going to be worse. I'm bringing studies like intimate partner violence.
Hey, look at how dumb this guy is. And now I'm just, dude, you're a distraction and you're dumb. Look at what it says. The verse is Ephesians 5:22. Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord. What else? Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Right? You are, as a husband, you are supposed to be ready to be crucified for your wife. Are you getting? Therefore, marry little girls and beat them. Come on.
Beat them black and blue. Come on.
What a Korah's fans here. It is sufficient cause, but not a necessary cause. No. What are you talking about? Let's see.
In Muslim communities. To quote, in general, these studies found high prevalent levels of IPV among Muslims living in the U.S. and globally. Consistent with IPV research in general, verbal and psychological abuse was found most prevalent, followed by physical, sexual, and fatal. Individual, family, and interlocking social problems, traditional beliefs, and spirituality, immigration-related stressors were associated. There. See, I didn't say it's the only thing.
Good.
Okay? With
So
IPV,
it's not engaging with my answer, my question.
goodness. Studies on beliefs of IPV found that there tended to be higher leniency and justification of abuse in Muslim cultures than is the Western norm. So
Good.
by
Doesn't
that
address my
logic,
question.
hold up, back to that logic. By that logic, you guys have accidentally conceded Muslim societies are worse because there's more abuse according to the data.
Doesn't address my question. Okay?
Your question is a sufficient cause, and you don't understand what a sufficient cause is, and it has nothing to do with the topic.
Once again, she said a sufficient cause is it means it's the only.
It's the only thing, and it guaranteed.
And that is not what a sufficient cause is. That's it. She does.
It's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
There could be 10 completely different causes that all produce the same thing. There could be 10 different causes which all combine to produce something that combine. All right. What is noticed is wherever Islam goes, you end up with higher rates of domestic violence. Because he even talked about, like, even if you move to a different country and stuff like that, you end up having higher rates than the surrounding country and so on. Anyway, this is just dumb.
It's so funny because she's trying to basically distract from the actual debate and discussion by going into the terminology of sociology, and then she even gets that wrong. I mean, this is a trick, distracting from the actual point. It has nothing to do with the point, but even then, when she's doing that, she's getting it completely wrong. It's so incompetent to no end.
What is this? Islam doesn't allow child marriage? Who are you, John? Are you joking?
Johnny.
Hey, John.
Johnny.
What do you mean Islam doesn't allow child marriage? You want to tell us that? You want to explain that for us? We're not familiar with that. We don't know where Islam forbids child marriage. Where are you getting that?
Wait, IP just told me later in the debate, she said, I didn't say it's the only cause. I said it's a sufficient cause. What? Seriously?
That's how she defines sufficient cause.
Is that are we about to see that, IP? Because we have her literally saying it. We can literally just go back and show it again.
Yeah, he messaged me that too. Hey, John, maybe you're not familiar with Islam, but here we have this. So notice your comment here. Islam doesn't allow child marriage. What do we have here? This is Sahih al-Bukhari. Notice the chapter heading. Giving one's young children in marriage is permissible. Young children. Hey, John. Would you say giving young children in marriage is child marriage? Or are you going to say, no, it doesn't say child marriage. It says young children in marriage. Huh? Oh, how do we still have to show them just the basics? Where have you all been? Where have you been?
Where have you been?
Let's see.
Because we're
question's on the
talking about
topic.
Islam, okay? We're talking about Islam as it pertains for societies, okay? If there are Islamic societies such that this does not occur, then you cannot say that Islam is going to be the sufficient cause in regards to this occurring in a
That is so stupid. Did you just catch that, guys? So, if there's a society where there are tons of Muslims there, but it doesn't have much higher rates of domestic violence, then you can't say Islam is a contributing factor. That's completely idiotic. Some culture could have other factors that stop that. Like for instance, if you had 1 million Muslims in a country that will punish, people who marry kids with death, or that will punish people who beat women with death, and Muslim guys are like, oh, I'm not going to beat my wife then. That doesn't mean that Islam does not promote it or contribute to that sort of thing. It means there can be other things which prevent it. She's saying, in effect, and you don't need to argue for an entire country or something like that, or even an entire culture. Following her reasoning, if this husband doesn't beat his wife, then Islam is not a sufficient cause for domestic violence, and therefore Islam has nothing to do with domestic violence. She sounds like a freaking moron. To be fair, it's minor. I mean, she minored. Gosh, shouldn't be using the term minor. It has all sorts of extra meaning, considering you just argued for, you just spent your time defending child marriage. But minoring in sociology, guys, means you took some extra classes when you were working on your major. But I don't know how much she was paying attention here.
Yeah, I think it's obvious. She's trying to say it's a necessary cause, but she's confusing it with sufficient cause. Where sufficient cause is, or necessary cause is, this thing can only occur if this certain thing is present. There will be necessary cause. That's what she's trying to say. But she's saying sufficient cause, which is, if this thing is present, then this thing will occur. Which doesn't necessarily mean this thing has to be present for this thing to occur. She's confusing two different things.
I mean, it's crazy because they started this section by granting that if something leads to higher rates of domestic violence, it's worse for society. IP brings up the studies showing Muslim countries, and not just Muslim countries, said wherever Islam goes, you end up having higher rates, just like you end up having higher rates of other things. And she's saying, but if it doesn't always lead to that in every circumstance, then Islam is not a contributing factor. You have zero clue how sociology works. You have zero clue how to use basic terms. This is dawah, guys. This is dawah.
society.
So
That's the whole point.
You have raised the bar to extreme levels where now we can't say anything. Once again, like the last
Don't blame me,
conversation,
blame
you went
those.
nuclear. You basically just said we can't use anything
That's a straw
because
man.
we need a.
That's not
That's
true.
a straw man, I
That's not
think.
true because, for
Is there
example,
more abuse in Muslim
I'll tell you
communities?
what, that's not the case.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
That's a strong. He repeated what she said and points out that sociology is now irrelevant. Like you study factors that contribute to various things, and unless you can say this thing always 100% of the time leads to this, you can't say it's a contributing factor. And he pointed it back out to them, and they say, it's a straw man. That's a straw man. They just, guys, sufficient cause, straw man. They don't know how to use these terms accurately because you don't need to on TikTok.
Is there more abuse in Muslim communities?
Wait, John responded? Someone said John responded. Hang on. Where did John respond? David Wood, stop. Hang on. David Wood, stop ignoring my messages. Well, your first message that I saw was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. Okay, let's see. Wait, look at this. Surah An-Nisa 4:6 requires maturity. The text tests the orphans until they reach marriageable age to give them their inheritance. Then, if you perceive in them sound judgment, release their property to them. Okay. What?
So that means all women are orphans, all girls are orphans. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just stupid because, all right, hey, John, didn't want to do this to you, buddy. Didn't want to do this to you, buddy. But so you're saying that's how you understand Surah 4, verse 6, talking about orphans and their inheritances and so on. Let's go to, so you would say that Muhammad was actually violating the Quran when he married a 6-year-old? Is that what you're saying? Muhammad went against the Quran? So let's just crash course here. Giving one's young children in marriage is permissible. Young children, what is that? Young children in marriage, what is that? That's called child marriage. Why? By virtue of the statement of Allah. So he's saying, why is child marriage allowed? Because of what Allah says. Well, I thought Allah said in Surah 4, verse 6 about orphans receiving their inheritance by virtue of the statement of Allah. And for those who have no monthly courses, i.e. they are still immature. Surah 65, verse 4, which is about how long a prepubescent girl has to wait if a husband divorces her. How long does she have to wait before the next husband can marry her and have sex with her? And so you have here, and the iddah, that's the waiting period, how long she has to wait, for the girl before puberty is 3 months in the above verse. Before puberty. So the waiting period after a man marries a girl, has sex with her, and divorces her, how long does she have to wait before the next guy can marry her and have sex with her? That's called the iddah. The iddah for the girl before puberty, so this is prepubescent girls, is 3 months. And notice it doesn't say, what are you talking about? You're not allowed. Child marriage is forbidden. And as an example of child marriage, you have Sahih al-Bukhari 5133, narrated Aisha that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old, and then she remained with him for 9 years, i.e. till his death. So, John, are you saying that Muhammad didn't understand the Quran, or that he understood it but he didn't obey it? He went against the Quran? Or are you saying that a 6-year-old is not a child? Which one are you saying? Which one are you saying? Let us know.
All of the above.
Yeah, you go ahead and tell us. Wait, all he said is no. What? No what?
No. No means no.
You want to keep going? Narrated Urwa, the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with Aisha while she was 6 years old and consummated his marriage with her while she was 9 years old, and she remained with him for 9 years, i.e. till his death. Hey, look at this. Sahih al-Bukhari 6130, narrated Aisha, I used to play with the dolls in the presence of the Prophet, and my girlfriends also used to play with me. When Allah's messenger used to enter my dwelling place, they used to hide themselves. Smart, girls, smart, hide from that creep. They used to hide themselves, but the Prophet would call them to join and play with me. Then you have, look what you have here. The playing with the dolls and similar images is forbidden, but it was allowed for Aisha at that time as she was a little girl, not yet reached the age of puberty. Shame on Muhammad. How did he not know that Allah said no child marriage in John's interpretation of Surah 4, verse 6? Oh my goodness. John, too bad you weren't there to educate your prophet before he went around banging a prepubescent girl.
Ew. Brother, ew.
Hey, John, I could keep putting up sources, man. You want to see? Look. Oh, look. There's another one. 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 All saying that you have no clue what you're talking about. All saying that you have no clue what you're talking about. Stop. Just stop lying. We don't have time for this, man. We talked about child marriage yesterday. We're talking about wife beating now. All right. Let's let this continue.
Tell you why that's not the case.
The point.
I'm going to tell you that's why that's not the case. Because there are certain aspects of any religious text or any text that we interpret in general, okay, there are certain aspects such that we can determine that because the vast majority of the people all adhere to it or all accept it within regards to that particular doctrine that we're talking about or anything of the sort, that this is a sufficient cause for it. For example, affirming Tawheed. That is something every Muslim will affirm, okay? Ergo, we could say it's Quran or Islam in general is a sufficient cause in regards to affirming Tawheed
Right.
as it pertains to Muslims. But you cannot come to that same conclusion as it pertains to specific laws and rulings, because there are different people who have interpreted it in different ways over time, such that they allow culture, society, etc. to influence and impact their decision on their interpretation.
So according to you, we can't know anyway. We can't know anything here. We can't know
I
anything.
literally just told
Done
you
your
the
response.
opposite.
Done your
I
Let's
just
move
told you
forward.
the
Let's move forward.
opposite.
Let's move forward
Every
on this
time I
point.
let
This is bad. Okay, it means marriage requires sound judgment. If a child is too young to manage money, they are too young to manage a marriage. That's talking about orphans. And again, so you're saying that 6-year-old Aisha was a good at managing money? Dude, do you realize how dumb you sound? Okay, what you would mean here is they set the bar really low for. So Muhammad married Aisha, and you're saying that what? He realized she was competent at handling money at 6 years old? That's what you're saying? Dude, we don't have time for this. Guys, quit telling me he responded. This is just idiotic nonsense that we've heard a million times. Surah 4, verse 6. Okay, Surah 65, verse 4 says you can marry, have sex with, and divorce, and then pass on to the next guy, a prepubescent girl, as long as she waits 3 months before the next guy has sex with her. Your prophet had sex with a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, dude, you got to go now.
He was the prophet. He was the prophet.
Look, dolls were a thing back then? Okay, you got to go, dude. You've got all these passages about Aisha was playing with dolls. He doesn't think they had dolls back then? All right, you're gone, buddy. This is beyond stupid. What? There's no such thing as dolls back then. What? That passage makes no sense. They didn't know about dolls back then. Oh my goodness, guys. This is the reasoning level of the people. No, he's trying to educate us about what Islam teaches based on something he read from some lame Dawa website from like 20 years ago when they were still pretending it didn't happen. And he's so ignorant, he doesn't know these passages about dolls, and he thinks, no, they didn't have dolls back then. Gosh, what a dope.
I just want to briefly. I don't know if IP is going into this. It looks like the guy is moving on from the topic or from the sufficient cost discussion. But Itachi here is bringing this whole thing into the discussion that in order to blame Islam or in order to say that Islam has anything to do with the wife beating that is going on in those Muslim countries, you have to establish that Islam is a sufficient cause, so that. When there is Islam, then wife beating happens. But that is not how any of this is ever analyzed. That is not how it is done. And the research will very clearly tell you that Islam seems to be a contributing factor in the results of wife beating, in the occurrence of wife beating in these countries. It doesn't have to be a sufficient cause in sociology for that conclusion to be drawn. You can say Islam does not always necessarily lead to more wife beating. You could, however, say in many cases or in most cases, it does increase the possibility of wife beating or the occurrence of wife beating. Therefore, you have not acknowledged that Islam is a sufficient cause, but you have still established that Islam is very likely a contributing factor to the increased occurrence of wife beating, which is exactly the point that the research makes and the point that IP here is making. So Islam is a contributing factor which leads, in many cases, to more wife beating. Therefore, Islam is a problem.
Yeah, guys. So again, you can have correlation without causation, meaning you can have both things together, but it doesn't mean that one had to cause the other. They could just both be occurring. So what you do is, if you're a researcher, you notice, hey, there are higher rates of domestic violence in Muslim countries. So what's going on here? What's the connection?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, what's going on here? Then what do? You start investigating. You start asking people, why did you think it's okay to beat your wife? Hey, ma'am, why didn't you go to police when your husband beat you? What's going on here? And if they keep saying, well, because, that's what our prophet taught. our prophet taught that this is a good thing to do. This is okay, and so on. Okay, then Islam's a contributing. If you only got that answer once or twice or 5 times or something like that, then that wouldn't be some, because people can get stupid ideas about things as well. If you get that all over the place in all kinds of countries, then it's obviously a contributing factor. But Itachi has just made it. Nope. The only way you could say Islam leads to more domestic violence is if you showed basically every Muslim husband beats the crap out of his wife. That's the only way you can show it. And that's just stupid. Okay, so we got stupid comments from John here. We get stupid. It's just weird that all the Muslims are agreeing with this stupid nonsense on the Muslim panel here. Let's go through these super chats to cleanse our minds.
But they just want to agree with her. They don't even know what they're talking about. They just want to agree with whatever Muslims.
But I'm saying that's the way it is on TikTok, right? If you're using a term, and the people listening don't know how to use the term, the person you're talking to doesn't know how to use the term. They don't know that you don't know what you're talking about, and they assume you know what you're talking about. So, in other words, let's say 99.9% of Muslims don't know what sufficient cause means. Her using the term sufficient cause and IP, you're not even proving it's a sufficient cause. You didn't prove that it's a sufficient cause. They're going, oh my goodness, oh, she used a smart term. She must be right.
Big word, whoa.
Yeah, big word. It's the big word fallacy, the fancy word fallacy. Islam's favorite fallacy. We got Ash Mays. D. Wood, JP mailed me at 3 a.m. threatening me to immediately retract my stances and apologize. I woke up to him attacking me on X and YouTube. What, this morning? What'd you do, man? What'd you do?
I think that was when they were having a fight or something.
Hey, JP, quit. Isn't Ash like the most chill dude on the planet?
Yeah.
That's what's weird. It's weird like in my mind for someone to be like, I have to go after Ash.
Ash is a troublemaker. He's always causing problems. Come on.
You know who else likes goats more than soccer? I can think of some people. Ridvan likes goats. Come on, man. What's wrong with people? Jay said that he would like to see you debate another Orthodox on icons first before debating you. He said it's because he wants to see if you do well. What? So guys, they said, David, you have to debate. You have to debate Jay Dyer. Okay, I'll debate Jay Dyer. Let me study a little bit. Okay, now, all right, Jay's retiring. I was going to wait several months, study, and then do it. But if he's retiring, okay, let's get one last debate in there. Hey, don't retire. Postpone that till next week. Let's go ahead and debate. I at least know what my general arguments are on icons. And now, no, you have to debate someone else on icons. So how many debates do I have to do now? I wasn't interested at all. You guys said I had to debate. Now it's turning into I have to do multiple debates on the same topic with multiple orthobros.
But David, why are you begging for a debate?
Maybe I'll just make a super epic video. That's kind of what I'm.
So why are you begging?
On Saturday, we took 60 evangelists into the heart of a Muslim territory, spiritually al-Zuding Islam. This is why Turkey has no strength against Australia. They're all worn out. I'm praying to Darwin that AP will come back to donkey brain atheism and avoid all this denominational fighting. Got a donkey brain. The Muslims here did not understand the topic at all. Two societies can be bad, but you can at least analyze which one is better. They were arguing what's true, not what's better. There's a difference. Well, they haven't been getting anything right, as far as I can tell, or anything that's relevant so far. Hey Jay, internet retirement isn't that serious, especially when nobody got any warning. Debate for 3 hours, then retire again. Yeah, that's what was crazy. No, I have retired. What do you mean? You just posted a tweet, said, hey, I'm not interested in this anymore, right? Okay. I said over and over again, I'm not interested. And you guys said I have to do it anyway. So yeah, it's not like there was some long process of retiring and then you went and lived in a little cabin in Antarctica. You made all this big steps, and now it would be super difficult to get out of your retirement and get back into. Or let me put it this way: it's not like a professional boxer retires and he's retired for 5 years, and then you say, hey, why don't you jump in the ring for one more fight? And it's like, okay, well, he hasn't been fighting, he hasn't been practicing, he hasn't been sparring, he's out of shape, and it's going to take a ton of work. It's going to take a ton of work. It's just like, dude, you just said it a couple days ago. How hard is it?
Give it a rest. I have left that life behind.
Yeah, I said it no longer interests me, man. That was from so long ago. It was just last month that everyone was saying you have to debate Jay Dyer. So long ago. What's funny is he's saying go debate someone else. Like, dude, if you ever think of going through the debate, you should jump on it right now. I'm still like, I just barely learned the basics. This would be the time, man. This would be the time. I know you guys want, you guys don't like well-prepared opponents. So this would be your time, man. The point is, I'm only going to get more and more prepared. And if you're not debating, you're just going to get more and more out of practice. Should crush me now while you got the chance, man. Crush me now while you got the chance. And then hopefully I can be done with this mess and get back to things I'm actually interested in. Wow. Wow, even AP's desk could wreck these guys. Okay, I'm done. Your desk would beat them up. Muhammad got abused 30 times by the men of Al-Zut. Islam doesn't believe women getting beat is abuse. That's true.
That's true.
AP's soccer rant yesterday was hilarious.
It was not hilarious. It was absolutely true.
It was Turkish propaganda. Islam, not Islamic culture. That one for the red book. Yeah, that should go down in God Logic's book. Muslims famously don't boast about Islam being a total system shaping culture, law, and society. So there can't be an Islamic culture. That's funny. Yeah, they don't go around, Islam's a total way of life and tells you everything about, and therefore, like, massive contribution to culture. Nope. Here, if something doesn't lead to something else 100% of the time, you can't say it's a factor. So Islam is just basically meaningless and pointless. I tried to warn you. Sports teams losing have a correlation with domestic abuse. Should we ban sports because of it? Yes.
Yes.
But unless you can show that every time a sports team loses, every fan of that team goes back and beats the crap out of his wife, you can't say there's any connection. I flunked statistics. Can someone explain this in cooking terms? Cooking terms.
I'm bad at cooking. I can't.
Cooking terms, eh?
You actually want to do that?
No, I'm just saying. There's only a couple things I cook. I cook steaks every once in a while. I don't do a lot of cooking.
I want to bring an example with sugar, but I'm not sure if I'm going to accidentally get it wrong and then mess it up. So,
hey, actually, you could, right? So, this would be more like eating terms, right? Suppose you eat 5 steaks a day, and then you suppose you eat 5 steaks a day, and then you have heart problems or something like this. And you see this happening over and over again. Everyone who eats way more steak than everyone else ends up with all kinds of health problems. You'd start noticing a correlation. Now, what Itachi would say is, hey, does every person who eats a lot of steak have these health problems? And if the answer is no, then you can't say the steak was a contributing factor. So that's kind of a silly one, but you can apply this in other ways, right? So you have people who live to 90 and smoke all their lives, and yet they live to 90, 95 years old. There are people like that. Matter of fact, I'll give you another example. So this real life example. So the men in my family generally drink themselves to death. What?
I thought you were going to say the men of Al-Zut, but
no,
okay.
The men in my family. Apart from me, every male in my bloodline was an alcoholic, right? They would drink themselves to death, and they would all die late 40s or around 50 or something like that. Okay. I had one grandfather who lived until like almost 80, but he was a total alcoholic like the rest. And then again, you have other people, like my mom got lung cancer. She had to have part of her lung removed. Other people smoke their entire lives and never get lung cancer. So following Itachi's reasoning, when you see a Surgeon General warning, this product causes lung cancer, she would say, oh, really? Does every person who smokes get lung cancer? That's what she's arguing, basically. Does every person who smokes get lung cancer? No, then you can't say smoking is a contributing factor. Does every person who's an alcoholic die younger than someone, someone? No, you can't say it. Okay, therefore you can't say it's a contributing factor. Does every person who drinks and drives end up killing someone? No. Well, therefore you can't say that this guy drinking and driving and killing someone, that you can't say drinking was a factor, because other people drank and drove and didn't kill someone. Do you understand how stupid that is? That's why IP is like, what is this? What is this nonsense? It sounds insanely stupid to anyone who knows the basics. And she minored in sociology. Oh boy. I super chatted Jay and he blocked me. Dude's a coward. What? I thought he really liked super chats, man. The cookie recipe encourages adding raisins. If it was the only recipe allowed in Arabia, you might expect many of their cookies to have them. The cookie recipe encourages adding raisins. If it was the only recipe allowed in Arabia, you might expect many of their cookies to have them. Yeah. Another country recipe asks you to add chocolate chips. Many of their cookies will have them, but it's not a sufficient cause. They believe emotion and word count are win condition.
That's true.
All my sisters were orphans, me and my bros were not. All my sisters were orphans, me and my bros were not. All my sisters were orphans, me and my bros were not. Is that real?
What?
No, I was asking because it was the reverse. It was the reverse for my dad. Like they were all sent to an orphanage, but then like some grandparent or something started getting out the girls first, which was smart. But meant my dad was kind of the last one in the orphanage. The next Muslim argument will be the dolls were mannequins. You see, this means she wasn't a child. I got to come up with something like that. D. Wood, Jay just said your gate of entry is performing fair or better against any decent Eastern Orthodox before he'll debate you, making sure you have done adequate readings. Wait, so David, you have to debate this guy. You have to debate him, but I don't want to. But you have to. But I really am not interested. But you have to. Okay, I'll debate him. All right, here's the list of requirements for you two. Oh boy, what is this, man?
David, why are you obsessed with debating Jay Dyer?
That's all you care about in life. Why? Why do you care so much about this? Just chill, bro. Chill.
Why are you begging him for a debate?
Yeah, here you go. Hey, this is the same thing I was saying. Smoking doesn't necessarily cause cancer. Checkmate, doctors. Right, so it's not a contributing factor. That's Itachi's reason. I keep saying core. Jay Dyer playing hard to get. Yeah, he is. Did Mo reach puberty before the night of Al-Zut? Yep. Think so. Her argument works against alcohol leads to abuse. Oh yeah, matter of fact, yeah. I didn't even think about that, and I'm guessing IP didn't either. But yep, that would have worked if you said, "Hey, alcohol is correlated and plays a role in higher rates of domestic violence." You just flip it out. Oh, are you saying alcohol is a sufficient cause for domestic abuse? In other words, every time someone drinks, he goes out and beats the crap out of his wife. Nope, you can't say, you can't say it's a contributing factor. Gosh. Really, really dumb. I recommend Alex Soren if you debate another Orthodox. And we have Itachi minored in sociology, Moped majored in minors. Majored in moped. I'm screenshotting the Moped majored in minors. That's funny. All right, let's jump back into this. An example, a college degree leads to higher paying jobs, but there's at least one degree holder that's unemployed, therefore degrees are useless. Yep. No contributing factors, guys. It's all or nothing here.
Notice what's happening. I let them talk. Then I try to talk. They jump in and start interrupting me because they can't handle the data here.
You said you can't do anything. That's all you said.
There they go again.
That's all you said.
Yeah. Okay.
You said like you're
to what you said. You said societies that produce more abuse are going to be worse. We can see the data. even with alcohol consumption, Muslim societies are producing more abuse. It's in the studies I'm citing.
Yes.
Therefore, Muslim societies produced by Islam are worse than what Christian societies have produced. That's it. That's the debate right there. Thank you for coming.
Let's move to the next point.
Okay.
Right.
Consanguineous marriage is cousin marriage.
So
Do
again,
you agree cousin marriage is okay?
Yeah, again, so when it comes to exactly what you mean by cousin marriage, it's going to be very nuanced. So for example, in societies where there is a repeated cousin marriage that is explicitly condemned and something that is frowned upon within Islam. Umar ibn Khattab talks about this,
No,
and
there is
Imam
not.
Shafi'i talks about this as well, that if it is going to be repeated, where it is going to cause harm to the child, then it's going to be something that's shouldn't be done. That's what Islam teaches.
Wait, is he going with the harm principle there? Is he just saying, hey, now keep in mind, guys, this is a situation where I really, really, really wish they took this harm principle that they keep going to with their, they do it in such silly ways. I wish they would take it really, really seriously and say, okay, let's stop first cousin marriage because it's very harmful. It's like, okay, that's not how Islam is actually applying these things, but go with that and stop. I mean, the first cousin marriage rates in Pakistan are like over 60% or something like that. And it's like you end up, when you do this generation after generation after generation, you are causing all kinds of problems. So however you guys want to like say, nope, Islam actually condemns this, please go with that. It is a very harmful practice. But IP said yesterday that they actually condemned cousin marriage here. So let's see.
So Islam, where it is implemented, then it's going to cause people followers of that text that there's not going to be repeated cousin marriage. But referring to simply like a one instance cousin marriage, I don't believe that would entail harm necessarily. Right? You have to prove that.
So, do you agree there is far more cousin marriage in the Islamic world than in the Western world?
I don't believe that Islam is the cause.
But is there more?
You'd have to read the data, but
So there's a lot more cousin marriage.
Dude, this is not even.
I don't believe that Islam is the cause. I don't believe that Islam propping up a guy who married his first cousin as the pattern of conduct for Muslims and the guy who married a child has anything to do with first cousin marriage and marrying children. Are you joking? Are you joking? Okay. By the way, following their so Muhammad, according to the Quran, Surah 33, verse 21, Muhammad is a pattern of conduct for Muslims. Okay. Is there anything that Muhammad practiced? Like, is there anything involving his character that you say 100% of Muslims all do the exact same thing? No. So what can we say here? That nothing Muhammad did influenced Muslims at all. That's their reasoning. That's their stupid, insanely stupid reasoning.
For example, Pakistan, the rate is like 65%.
Beautiful.
Okay, so there's a lot more cousin marriage. Where are they getting that from?
not Islam. Can you prove it's
Yeah,
Islam?
exactly.
Yes.
This
I
literally will
can.
go
Yes.
back to every single one of the points that you bring up in regards to this. Mill's method of difference is going to literally be a thorn for you right now. You don't want to address the fact that it can't be a sufficient cause. If it's the case, it's not occurring in every single Islamic society.
That doesn't follow
the
at all.
crux of the matter.
No. Let me address that. That doesn't follow at all.
Okay,
because
yeah.
there are
What's with that thing, man?
Guys.
Islam is Muslim society. Even if different religious groups like Christians or Muslims share the same neighborhood and live on the same street, Muslims are significantly more likely to marry their cousins than Christians are. When you look at Muslim countries, they have significantly higher rates of cousin marriage. Well, compared to any other population, they are by far ahead in terms of cousin marriages or being descendants of cousin marriage and all of that. And I think IP has extensively gone through the research here, and I'm sure he will make the point.
Oh boy.
several factors involved. So for example, in some societies, for example, there's Christianity is everywhere, okay? But we can say for example, if we go to New Orleans, there's gonna be a lot more crime than like Vermont, okay? Why? Because we know in sociology there are numerous factors. There's a lot more poverty in southern Louisiana. So that's going to be another motivating factor. So that's what happens often in these societies. They factor out those kind of things. But the studies I'm citing have done multivariable analyses. They have factored out things like poverty, like education levels. They still find intimate partner violence, higher levels of child marriage, okay, more oppression and persecution.
So I want to focus on cousin marriage specifically.
Yeah,
I don't
cousin
want to
marriage.
divert from that.
Okay, now I want to get back to that point. Okay,
So wait,
so
can I let me make
is
a point?
not Muhammad the pattern of conduct for Muslims?
Again,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, I just really quick, and then he could address you on that point.
If you say one stupid thing about if Islam doesn't cause it 100% of the time, then it plays no role. I'm shutting this down, man, because it's too stupid.
So what I wanted to ask you, or rather say, is when it comes to a motivation, finding a motivation for a particular thing, what he already explained to you is that within our Islamic doctrine, within our Islamic teachings, early on what we find, both the Caliph as well as people who are contemporary to the Caliph afterwards, they say that this is something which should not be encouraged. Okay, not only should it not be encouraged, but what we find is that they say that it is better for you to go and do something else, so that, and he states the specific reason as to why. He says so that.
Why do they say that?
I'll tell you. He says specifically, Imam Shafi'i says specifically, so that your children do not end up as fools. He literally says it verbatim. Good.
Good.
So there is motivation. Now this is.
I can confirm that there is such a source that goes back to one Imam Shafi, who says that if you continue marrying within your own lineage, that your children will become fools. This was a thing that was long known, but it is quite unspecified by how. I think it is quite unspecified what proximity he means by in your own lineage. But it is an old, very, very well-known thing, isn't it? And it simply hasn't discouraged Muslims overall from marrying their cousins. In fact, Muhammad himself did it. Muhammad himself married his cousin.
By the way, that's why they can't enforce these things, right? You can't say, hey, first cousin marriage is abolished. I mean, you have people pushing for that law in the UK because it's leading to so many problems in the Muslim community. You have people trying to outlaw cousin marriage. Who's on the front line saying, no, don't outlaw this? Bunch of Muslim politicians. So what do you do here? You say, oh, well, a later Muslim, he said, don't do this, it'll make you stupid. Okay, Muhammad did it. So who wins that? I don't know what to do here, man.
Muhammad, apparently.
Question I
Wait,
want to ask
wait,
you.
but he's pulling that nature, right? Nature? Nature, yeah.
I'm not done. Okay. So when it comes to this particular point, what I'm asking you, is there some basis or motivation within Islamic text or theology such that the opposite is also allowed to occur?
Cousin marriage?
The opposite. So not allowing for it, or not encouraging
Okay,
it.
I'm confused about what you're asking.
Yeah,
Are you asking,
specifically-
does the Islamic text allow cousin marriage?
Does it allow for it insofar as not encouraging the closeness of it? Okay, because saying the word cousin is going to be very vague.
First
Okay,
cousins.
The issue, okay, yeah, sure, first cousin is allowed, but the
It's funny, Ashray is going to find cousin. People are saying, what's a cousin and stuff like that, but she's actually doing that. What is a cousin? What is that?
reason as to why it's not good is because over time, if you continue this particular type of behavior,
Beautiful.
that's what leads to these types of issues, which is exactly what Imam Shafi'i and Umar radiallahu anh both state.
Where do they get that
so
from?
I'm asking you, okay, they get it from based off of natural understanding. of what's
Exactly.
Right.
They don't get it from Islam.
Right, so
They
in
get it-
Right. Did you catch that, guys? That is awesome right there, right? So here are two Muslims who said, don't keep marrying cousins because it'll lead to bad consequences. And he says, where did they get that? From seeing the consequences, from noticing it over time. Right. Not from Islam. If you just went with Islam, you'd say our pattern of conduct did it. So they're actually learning from outside of Islam. That's great. I'm glad people are learning from outside of Islam. Now, learn from outside of Islam that beating women is bad, and learn from outside Islam that marrying children is bad. Learn that these things are bad. Because keep in mind, I mean, they're all sitting there defending child marriage. Guess what? You can look at endless studies that show that child marriage is bad and harmful. Why don't you guys apply the same reasoning? We can learn from outside Islam. Good. Learn from outside Islam. Do it. Do it.
from science,
mandatory.
from nature. They're not. Islam is allowing
Wait,
cousin
why-
marriage
why-
because
hold on,
again,
real quick,
you
real
won't
quick.
let me
Are
show.
you good?
Okay, I'll let you talk for a while.
Yeah.
Let me now address this. Okay, exactly. They were able to go and go, hey, all these generations of cousin marriages leading to lower IQ and all these birth defects. We shouldn't do this. But they're not getting that from Islam. They're getting that from their understanding of how the natural world works. Meanwhile, in Islam, Muhammad married his first cousin. He married his daughters, the first cousins. So according to Islamic teaching, that's why it keeps happening throughout the Islamic world. This is why you have rampant cousin marriage in the Islamic world.
Correct.
Yeah. And so guess what? What you can say based on this is, in places where they take Muhammad as the pattern of conduct, they just don't pay much attention to the consequences that, to be fair, some Muslims have recognized, but they just keep doing it anyway because they're pattern of conduct.
Correct.
On the West, we have gotten rid of that.
Good. Notice what the issue is. It's not specifically marrying first cousins. The issue that they highlight is that over time, if it's done repeatedly, that's where the issue occurs, correct?
Where does Islam say that just don't do it repeatedly?
They're literally the sources that we use. So if we're going to go based off of an Islamic standard, then according to the Quran, you follow these contemporaries of Muhammad, peace be upon him, such as
they're not getting that from Muhammad or the Quran.
Hold on. The Quran tells you to follow in their example. If we're going to follow in their example and follow in what they say, such that it's not something that contradicts Islam, there's no issue with accepting what they say. So ergo, they do have basis for making these statements, because when the Quran, for example, talks about taking from people of knowledge, okay, people of knowledge is going to be an expert or having an expertise in that specific field. So if there are individuals who are Muslims at that time and they have some sort of expertise in the field of marriage and how this.
Here's the thing. I would love it if they took this principle seriously. They don't. They're just using it as an out on this particular issue. Because look, she's saying, hey, if you have someone who knows who knows about a certain topic, then you should listen to that person. Okay, and you're saying the Muslim community, which they haven't, but they should listen to the couple of Muslim scholars who concluded that generation after generation of first cousin marriage is actually harmful. And you would say, okay, they should listen to those guys. Okay, please heed that advice and find some knowledgeable people about child marriage and some knowledgeable people about domestic violence. Find some Muslims who said, you know what, in spite of what the Quran says, this is actually bad and harmful and dangerous and shouldn't be done. And go with those people. But you don't. Book after book, journal article after journal article pointing out the problems with marrying kids, and you guys don't care even slightly. Here on this issue, suddenly, oh yeah, we got to listen to the people of knowledge.
That is a good point, because in the argument yesterday, they were literally just making the point that there is nothing wrong with child marriage. Who defines what a child is?
What's a child?
In society and so on and so forth, if they say that over time what they see is that due to doing it multiple different times, right, or interbreeding multiple different times between first cousins, what it leads to is a deterioration of whether it be brains or anything of the sort, and then this is something that should be avoided. You are to listen to them according to the Quran, and there's no issue with that.
All right, now I just want to notice what happened. I let her respond. She went on for a good minute there. I wonder if I'm going to get to do that. Let's see if I can get this.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So, don't ask questions.
Okay, so once again, once again, they're getting that from their understanding of nature. That's my point. But again, now we got to go back to the broader picture. What is actually happening? Islamic societies are producing societies that have rampant cousin marriage, and they're having lower IQs, more birth defects. This is also contributing to less economic progress. Okay, because Western societies have actually gotten rid of it. They've gotten rid of it. It's all done away with. Very low, less than 1% in the West, for example. Okay, that just means we're producing better societies. Now, if you want to say, well, that Islam is not the motivating factor, I'm using your standard now. You're going to scientific aspects, people studying nature. So by your own admission, the standard you set up earlier, they're not getting that. They're not getting the idea that cousin marriage is bad from Islam. If we go to what Islam just says, guess what's happening? Cousin marriage is allowed and it's growing. Then we just need to look at societies at large. What's happening? The West is producing far better societies because we have higher IQs, because we have less cousin marriage. That is a contributing factor, okay?
And it's just crazy that, it wasn't that long ago that Daniel Hakikachu was actually promoting cousin marriage because it leads to lower IQs and less people who will leave Islam because
they can't to be regarded.
So he thought it's actually good. And these guys,
regarded societies are better.
It's a weird situation because this is a debate on, whether Islam or Christianity produces better societies. And so you want IP to crush them on this point so that people like see how harmful Islam is. At the same time, though, I wish Muslims in like Pakistan and so on would listen to the four-man crew here and stop marrying cousins.
And then I'm almost done. Meanwhile, Islamic societies are producing worse societies, more child marriage, more abuse, and now we know more cousin marriage, which lowers the collective IQ. This is bad.
Right. So to come to the conclusion that you're saying is that if you look at society X, society Y, for example, we see that X society has something bad compared to this society, but there is a few things that you're not factoring in, right? So for some odd reason, when I said let's take the sample size and spread it even larger, for some reason we had an issue with that. I don't believe that taking the sample size bigger, where you can look at more historical context, undermines the prompt in any shape or form. Because
this is just nonsense, right? This is around the world, right? It's already been pointed out. This is around the world. Wherever Islam goes, you end up with higher rates of cousin marriage. So this isn't, you got a really small sample size. You just went to this particular village in this particular country, and you notice there are Muslims there, and they, 65% of them marry their first cousins or something like that. That's not where this comes from, man. It's all over the place.
Looking at society, you're looking at the effect. And just because we see, for example, Western countries that are part of NATO, that have a better economic factors, and we have Muslim countries in the Middle East where they have worse economic factors, where they could be driving, where they are driving factors for these consequences that we see, right? You cannot pin this on Islam and say that this is because of Islam, right? So I would argue that if we take the sample back even further, we can argue for things like alcohol abuse. We can argue for things like unaliving of the Jews.
Did he just say alcohol abuse?
Yeah.
You can't say it, dude, unless alcohol abuse 100% of the time leads to something. You can't say it's even a contributing factor. That's your guys' reasoning. Let's see.
Consequences that we see, right? You cannot pin this on Islam and say that this is because of Islam, right? So I would argue that if we take the sample back even further, we can argue for things like alcohol abuse. We can argue for things like unaliving of the Jews, 70,000 Jews being alive by the Christians, right? And this is from Christian societies. If we take this back, and also one point I want to comment on, is that if we appeal to natural law as Muslims, that renders me a moral relativist. It doesn't follow.
That was something different.
Okay.
That's not what I was talking about.
I want to comment on that because for some odd reason you have an issue with Muslims appealing to natural law, when natural law is something that is taught within Islam. Why? Because in Sunni Islam, we believe that there is going to be things that are going to be inherently known as immoral, or the natural disposition that we can use, aka natural law. So natural law in Islam doesn't contradict taking the messenger to be the moral example, because he's the one that sets those standards. And according to the hadith, where he explicitly says, "La dar wa la dirar," no harm, no reciprocating harm, right? And the only thing you said, people interpret it differently. Well, the thing is, if you take the traditional view, that anything that entails harm, physical and mental harm, is going to be not allowed. Okay. So, real quick, would you agree that if we take the sample size back, then there will be different results from what you're concluding?
You mean history? Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
This guy really needs to remove. He needs to remove whatever is in his mouth when he talks.
What? No, it's just I'm refraining from making a zoot joke, man.
The whole of history here, okay?
Yeah.
So you just can't go to maybe 300 years ago it was different. We have to take the whole of history here.
I said I was trying to avoid zoot jokes, and IP starts talking about the whole of history.
The whole of history.
Muhammad had the whole of history. The old zoot came out to see the whole of history.
What's wrong with you?
Like, how screwed up is that? I'm like, okay, I don't want to make a zoot joke right now. And then he's like, but what about the whole of all history? The biggest hole in history. Come on, man. IP set up the alley-oop with that one, man. Bam.
The whole of history shows Christian societies are far better.
The whole of history is your moral example.
And one of the results is cousin marriage, consanguineous marriages. They're far more rampant in Islamic societies. So let me give you an analogy to help you with this. Okay, so take Ozempic. Ozempic was produced, they came up with it, to help with type 2 diabetes. But then they discovered it also helps with weight loss. So it produced an unintended result. Now when we look at Christian societies coming from Christianity, Islamic societies coming from Islam, one of the unintended results is cousin marriage. There's far less in the West, a ton more in the Islamic world. That just shows that Islam is... I almost was done. I'm almost done.
Clarify,
so Islam is producing far worse societies because you have rampant cousin marriage. Okay, you may not have intended that, you may not think that is, but this is still just a reality on the ground.
Beautiful. So again, you did...
I just laughed at the beautiful, guys. What is this new thing in Islam? I don't remember this from years ago, but like this year, it seems constantly. You can say whatever you want. You can blast Islam. You can make fun of Muhammad, and they'll respond with perfect or beautiful or something like that. It's like there's got to be some other way of transitioning to your point, right? I don't know.
So you did concede that if we take the sample size, that would be different. But the studies that you cited don't account for history, IP. You would agree that the sample size that you quoted only...
because they can't.
Right, exactly. So you would agree that it doesn't account for history, right?
They can't. It's impossible in sociology.
Beautiful, exactly. So when you say that, when you reference a model, for example, where it's like 1988 to like 2010, where you reference a country where it has like bad socioeconomic factors, it would then follow...
Did IP say Islam causes our societies? Is that what he just said earlier?
Did he?
I thought I just heard that. I don't know.
How far? Do you want me to rewind?
No, don't rewind.
Okay. I think we've got the points. We'll see if they go anywhere else with this.
That we would expect there to be worse societies compared to the West. Obviously, right? But we can't take that and conclude that Islam is going to be worse for society. Why? Because Islam doesn't inherently teach those things are going to be abhorrent.
Brother,
it doesn't.
We're talking about what these religions have produced. If we look through the whole of history, what has come from Islam? What has come from Christianity? Which has more cousin marriage today? The Islamic society or Christian? Which one?
So if I was to take this, for example,
which one?
Of course, Islam will be better.
Thank you. Islam has more cousin marriage.
No, so Islam will be better.
His question was, which society produced more cousin marriage?
Right. So this is very like flimsy because I don't know if you're talking about first cousin or like repeated cousin marriage.
First cousin marriage.
So I don't believe that first cousin marriage was like not repeated is going to be immoral. I don't believe that. We don't.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying cousin marriage is necessarily immoral, but it is. For example, eating sugar is not immoral.
Right.
But if you eat a lot of sugar, you're going to affect your health.
So
likewise.
Yeah, and so suppose, hypothetically, that you found out that in Muslim countries they consume 10 times more sugar than any other country, and then you ask them why, and then they all quoted a hadith where it said Muhammad ate 10 times as much sugar as everyone else. Therefore, we think there's a connection there. They would respond and say, well, does every single Muslim eat 10 times as much sugar? No, then it has nothing to do with Muhammad.
Can you prove that that sugar is the sufficient cause?
No, I can't.
You see?
See? No connection. That's what's going on.
We can set aside the moral issue on the table right now. We can set it aside.
Okay, beautiful.
Regardless, cousin marriage still makes worse societies. You just admitted there is more cousin marriage in Islamic society, and I'm even granting it's just a side effect. Doesn't matter. That shows Islam has produced worse societies. Case closed.
So if I was to take the sample back, when, let's say, for example, 70,000 Jews were unalived by the Christians, right? And wait, we're living at that time, me and you are living at the time, and we say, hey, look, we see more violence perpetrated by the Christians from the Roman Catholics against the Jews. At that time point, from that time, if we're having the same debate at that time, would then for that because Christianity is going to be more violent towards Jews, that therefore Islam will be better as society?
Yeah, guys. So he's making what could be an important point here about sample size or just focusing on a particular time period or something like that. So if he's going to, you say, okay, well, here's a time when Christians persecuted Jews. And if you looked at just that place and just that time, you'd say, wow, Christian societies produce more persecution of Jews. But he's pointing out, but you wouldn't say that if you just looked at, different times in history and different places in history, you'd come to a different conclusion. I would agree completely. If it was just at a particular time in a particular place or something like that, that just first cousin marriage in Islam exploded and then it disappeared later on, I would not take that as an issue. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. It's all over the place, guys. It's all over the place.
So again,
Well, to follow on, answer the question.
No.
You have to answer this question.
Restate the question because it's so irrelevant
Okay.
to what we're talking
Beautiful.
about. We're talking about cousin marriage. You're talking about violence.
Yeah, because we're talking about which is better, right?
Yeah, which has produced better societies.
If we're at a time when 70,000 Jews were unalive by the Romans, by the Christians, at that point, and we're having the same debate, and we saw that Christianity or Christian countries will produce more violence, would you then agree that at that point, if we're having the same debate... Sorry, one second. At that point, let me finish. At that point, if we're having the same debate, you would agree that Christianity would have been producing more violence. It would be worse, right?
So in a possible world, not our world, where there's more violence.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, if it's producing more violence, it's bad. Guess what? Islam produces more violence.
So it's arbitrary. Thank you.
No, I didn't.
Historically
I said
speaking,
possible
Christianity
world.
was the worst religion,
Hold on.
then it got a little bit
You just
better
cooked
over
yourself.
time.
You don't realize.
Beautiful.
You said in a possible world, if a society is producing more violence, that's bad. I got some bad news for you. There's been studies shown. For example, Davis Brown's book, War, Religion in a Secular Age, shows that Christianity has a restrictive war ethic. It produces less interstate armed conflict.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Islam has a permissive war conflict. So not only do we have more child marriage, we have more abuse, we have more cousin marriage, as you admitted. Now we're going on to violence. Guess what? Islamic societies are producing more violence, as the research by Davis Brown, Jonathan Fox, Monica Duffy Toff has shown. So guess what? In your possible world, when we apply it to this reality, it shows Islam is more violent. Thank you for that.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop it there because it looks like he's switching to the topic of violence and stuff like that because we're going to be on IP's. We're on IP's channel tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, we're on IP's channel tomorrow, and so we covered the cousin marriage and the domestic violence aspects and so on.
Beautiful.
It is interesting how they admit something right, and then he shows the data how they just condemned Islam.
Beautiful.
Yes. If a religion produces more violence, then it's worse. Okay, Islam produces more violence. What?
Okay, perfect. Beautiful.
Perfect. Beautiful. Perfect. All right, let's check these super chats. Hey, look, earlier when Esmi Sagara talked about orphans, and I started talking about my family and so on, because I thought, hey, here's a person who had orphan sisters and so on. He points out, he says, lol, John from the chat argued that the Quran was talking about orphans, and AP said all women are orphans. He was talking about the orphan thing from earlier.
Oh.
It's funny how quickly we forget, because it was just a little earlier that was... we forget really quickly. Persil is nice. Persil is nice for washing machine. The heck is Persil?
It is. It is a brand of washing machine detergent.
Oh. Ever heard of Tide? So carne asada doesn't make me fat. I've got to talk to my doctor. Just paying my jizya. I think I have to pronounce it hizya, jefe. Gotta pay the hizya. Muslims can't handle the truth. Guess having an aversion to truth comes from having an entire religion based on lies. No matter what you tell them, their answer always seems to boil down to, but Quran has to be true. Got some problems there. Fallacy of statistical nihilism. Just coined that. Ooh, I like that. That's a good one. 10% of Earth is cousin marriage equals 0.23 Muslims times 0.45% of Muslims. What's a cousin? What's a child? What's beating? Man, can't believe Allah cursed all Muslim cultures with embracing cousin marriage by sheer accident, having nothing to do with Islam.
It has nothing. It's completely unrelated, of course.
Yep.
Can you prove that it's a sufficient cause?
Yep. The woman does all the talking. Yeah, I'm wondering, what are these other two dudes doing, man? The two dudes on the left there.
They're just there to watch, like Sneeko.
Here, David, for WWF Little Guy's Tantrum you handled swiftly. Hello, AP.
Hello.
Cousin for night, muta no refund. Cousin for night. But I really like my cousins. But my cousin's so hot. The whole of history is a scientific miracle. Brain processes can't account for the blindness of Muslims. Chemicals lack intentionality. They can't side with Islam consistently in the brains of 2 billion. This is pretty Islamophobic. It's either beautiful, okay, perfect, no issue. 9 years old is a woman. Sometimes marrying cousins is okay. No, let me see the study. Shows study. Hold on. That's the debate. That does seem like a pretty good summary there. Then we have teacher asked Muhammad to map his family tree. Muhammad, teacher, it's less of a tree and more of a beautifully woven, closely knit rug. No way. And hey, Nordine is here again. My idea is reminiscent of the ID versus evolution debate. All right, if you say so. The woke and Islam agree childhood is a social construct. And then David Libiano went on to Ryan's channel. Ryan who? Who's Ryan, AP?
Who's Ryan?
David Libiano went on to Ryan's channel. I'm assuming because you guys aren't giving him the attention he wants, so he went to Ryan to get some. Ryan did well. Lippy kept looking at his phone. Yeah, probably getting messages. Here's how you should answer him.
Who's Ryan?
Yeah. Libiano has a pretty rough time ahead of him. They got too big for his britches. Not just physically, but I mean, got too big for his britches. Thinks he can start running his mouth a little too much.
Oh, Need God. That's Need God Net. That's
Ryan. Oh, okay.
You don't
So Need God. Yeah.
You don't know that his name is Ryan? What kind of friend are you, man?
If you just say Ryan, okay. I'm thinking like that's the only Ryan in the world. Can you say that every single Ryan is needgod.net? If so, then you can't say that even he is Ryan. Yeah, in your face.
You sure that Ryan is a sufficient cause?
Yeah, we have, they are BMMs, beta male Muslims. Oh, yeah, the ones on the end there? Yeah. If you got a Tachi running the show for you, and according to your religion, she's intellectually deficient, what does that say about you two guys? Or maybe, let me put it this way. If the topic of generations of first cousin marriage comes up and two Muslims go suspiciously quiet, what do you think might be the cause of that?
They are products of cousin marriage. That's why.
Yeah, it's just hitting a little too close to home. All right, everyone.
It's like IP says cousin marriage is bad, and they're like, "Hey, what did you say about my mama?"
What'd you say? Talk about my mama to my face. My family goes all the way back to the Battle of your mama.
Anyway.
All right, guys. So yeah, be on. What is that? 8 o'clock? Did he say 8 o'clock p.m.?
I do not know. We have to clarify that.
All right, guys. Hey, hang on. What do we have here? Look at this. I saw a video where Ash was lying about JP. Hey, Ash, what are you doing? Hey, Ash, are you lying about JP?
Ash wasn't lying about him. I saw it too.
Ash seems like someone who could get something wrong, but he doesn't come across as someone who would deliberately lie about something. Right, look. Hey, Josh 9000, slander, evidence, please. Yeah, Josh 9000.
In your face.
Yeah, what's the lie? Give us the lie, Give us the lie, Josh 9000. You said he lied about JP.
Come on, stop hiding.
If Ash lied about JP, we're going to say, shame on you, Ash. Stop lying about JP. What's the lie?
We're going to sit here and wait.
People are saying exactly what I thought. It's over 9,000.
You didn't even watch the show, man. You just find the meme funny.
No, I remember Nabil showed me that one. And that's when I found out that I mean, I kind of knew it, but that's when it became like really, really clear that women and men can have different senses of humor. Because me and Nabil were just dying laughing watching that, and then like our wives saw it and they weren't laughing at all, and it was like, wait a minute, they not find this funny? Hey, did Josh 9000 respond? We want to get to the bottom of this, not in the Zoot sense, but we want to get to the bottom of this. We want to squash all the beefs, guys. We want to squash all the beefs except the beef with Jay Dyer, which shall never be squashed until he is humiliated and
I don't
defeated.
think there's ever going to be a response. I don't think there's ever going to be a response.
No response? Hey, man, you can't just come out of nowhere and toss out an accusation of someone's lying and then bolt, man.
Shame
All
on
right,
you.
guys. Let's see. They get quiet because Uncle Dad is behind the camera. Their Uncle Dad is behind the camera. They got quiet. What is this? Demons are better explanation than blind chemicals for Nordine.
Okay, Nordi.
All right, Nordine. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I have to say, I'm glad at least that Muslims are debating this stuff, because for a couple years it was seeming like Muslims didn't want to debate anymore, and now we've got a new generation of TikTok Muslims stepping up to debate, so that's good. Problem is they're using their kind of TikTok tactics and stuff like that in
You said TikTok tactic.
TikTok tactics. Hey, did I coin that? TikTok tactic? That sounds cool. They're using TikTok tactics. TikTok tactics. TikTok tactics. Any response from Jay? I'm retired Dyer. Yeah, some people say that he said. Where did he say it? Did he go live today? Because I just posted that. I posted that video like early this morning. I guess he did a live stream, or did he respond on X? I don't know. But apparently he said, no, David Wood has to. It's like a boxer, and he's a heavyweight champion of the world, but retired. But now I have to go and debate all the other orthobros or something like that and build up my cred. And then I can debate him, because I'm super interested in all this stuff. But yep, that's how it works. All right, everyone. We'll catch you all tomorrow on IP's channel. It will definitely be based. And I'm guessing we're going through the rest of that debate, which will be on the violence issue. All right. All right, guys. Catch y'all.
All right. All right. All right.
All right. All right. All right.